What is up, guys, and welcome back to Stand Your Ground. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Stand Your Ground. I'm your host, as always, Alex Bennison. I'm joined by one half of the Mighty Whites podcast. It's Jack Robshaw.
How you doing, mate? Things good?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. I mean, I were a bit annoyed after dropping 3 points yesterday against Everton in the 95th minute, but I've come round to think that at least they didn't beat us.
Well, you know, I was thinking, fuck, couldn't they beat them?
Fucking thought you would. But yeah, how's things with you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Obviously, Leeds don't play till Monday night, so I can't ruin my weekend yet.
Don't just ruin the start of your week.
Yeah, it is weird, you know. Tomorrow, baby scan, get to look upon my daughter, should make me excited, and all I'm thinking is, God, I hope we beat Palace.
The excitement is real. We are doing a bit of a special episode today. There was going to be three of us. KC from the Mighty Whites podcast was going to be here. He might be here later on. Who knows? He might run in. But we are going to be doing a special challenge, which is the one player from each team challenge. So how this is going to work, there's going to be a few rules to it. And we've basically got to build what we believe is the best squad. Now, some of you out there probably will disagree with the teams we build. Probably would, no, I'd have this player from this team or that. If you want to join in and you're watching this live, make sure you get in the comments below and tell us what player you would pick per position for each team. The rule is we've got a full starting 11 and 7 subs. You must include a goalkeeper on the bench, and it can only be one player from each team that are currently in the Premier League. It does mean that there will be two teams that miss out, and we'll probably discuss at the end the two teams that we've left players out from. Normally it's because they're not as strong. Maybe it's because there's just players that are so good in the positions that they're in. You just can't find a spot for a certain club to have a player in that team. But before we do get onto it, we might as well have a quick little talk about the games that have taken place this weekend. We will run through this pretty quick before we do start. One thing I'd have to say, and I saw you tweet it out about Villa scoring within the first 2 minutes against Arsenal, and absolutely nobody was shocked.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, that happening last season would have had everyone up in arms, and this season you weren't surprised at all. And it says a lot about both teams. One, how good Villa have been, and two, how poor Arsenal have been. It's not, but it's a very. This isn't like, you know, oh, well, because of this and tactically this, and it's just a very Arsenal thing to do. But just switched off completely, and just let him run around the outside, square it, and Ollie Watkins probably deserves getting like that deflected goal. He's been quite unlucky this season. He hit the post a fair bit. He's had a few disallowed harshly. So
to be honest, he's kind of hit the ground in 2021. I think it's 4 and 5 now that he's got. Not all in the Premier League though. I think some are cup goals. But yeah, I don't know what Cedric was trying to do in that position. I think he just got caught, especially playing a right back who's not your first choice right back at left back seemed a pretty weird choice for Arsenal.
Yeah, it has been odd. Although he's played there a few times recently and he's done quite well. So I'm guessing that's why they just kept him in. They'll just be glad that he's actually playing now, because it wasn't a big fee, but they paid all those wages to him and gave him a 4-year deal. And for the longest time, he wasn't even getting in the squad, even after the injury was done. So,
yeah.
They maybe just try to get some money worth out of him.
A big game at the bottom of the table that was shared points with Burnley and Brighton. Both they drew 1-1. Newcastle beating Southampton 3-2. I loved the headline halfway through this game, which was Southampton concede 12 goals in 1.5 games.
Yeah, that's a certain way of saying it, isn't it?
Yeah. Danny Ings, was it him that had the Shea Adam had the disallowed goal, which would have been 3-3. I feel like Shea Adams has been kind of like Ollie Watkins. He's been a bit unlucky with the fact that he's had a couple of goals disallowed now in a couple of games.
Yeah, I like Shea Adams. He's a good player. Obviously, last season we were linked to him when he was out of favour at Southampton, and I would have loved us to have got him. But he's showing now the player he is, because he had that first 6 months at Southampton. It just wasn't working out, but he's definitely better than that. This was a hell of a win for Newcastle, though. I mean, I know that. By the way, your mic's going funny. I know that it wasn't the easiest game at all for Newcastle. This one. Southampton have been on a dreadful run of form, admittedly, but player for player, I would have expected Southampton to win this game.
Yeah,
player for player, and in that first half, it wasn't just that Newcastle were the better team and scored some goals. It was that they actually seemed to go for it, which is what Newcastle fans have been banging on about for ages, because they were sick of all the negative football that Steve Bruce was playing. He was playing some really, really negative stuff. And if they're gonna end up, 14th or 15th this season anyway, they might as well have a go and see which players can do it, and then look to change it in the summer. Like, I was really glad to see Almiron getting a couple, because I really rate Miguel Almiron, even though he hasn't done much at Newcastle. He's a player that I look at and just think he's a player.
Yeah,
and I think he's got all the talent in the world, and it's no shock that. Basically, like the second half against Leeds, they were miles better out of nowhere, and should have got a point against us, really. And ever since then, they've played a lot better, which I'm sure has nothing to do with the fact that that's when St. Maximin came back.
Yeah, that was the only negative that they were wanting, was the fact that his COVID test came back negative. Fulham 0, West Ham 0, with Souček getting himself sent off.
I would argue that Souček didn't get himself sent off. Mike Dean and the VAR managed to get him sent off. There was absolutely sod all in that.
Yeah, this will be another one like Bednarek's red card against us. That it'll just get rescinded.
Yeah, definitely, and it has to get rescinded. Like, all he's done, he's grabbing him, and sometimes you bring your arm up and over when you try to get away from your marker, and he's just brushed him.
Yeah,
and Mitrovic has chucked him sent over, which doesn't look good. But every player in the Premier League does that now, so I can't really be too annoyed. Even Mitrovic was going, "It's not a red. What are you doing?"
Yeah.
So, it's a complete accident. If you're going to elbow someone, you don't do it going across them. If he was going to elbow him, he'd have thrown an elbow at him.
Yeah. We've already alluded to it. Man United 3, Everton 3. We were 2-0 up after the first half. They came out, De Gea with a pretty poor palm away, straight into Decore's feet. James with a decent finish as well. Then we went back in front thanks to a McTominay header, and then Calvert-Lewin in the 95th minute.
I was going to say that McTominay goal, I wouldn't say that's thanks to a McTominay header. I'd say that's thanks to Robin Olsen making a complete bollocks of it.
Yeah, Olsen falling over. Not diving, just falling.
It made it so frustrating because he had an absolute worldie of a game against us in midweek. And then decides to have a shocker at Old Trafford. Couldn't you have swapped them around? Even for him, that's better. He'd get way more praise having a great game at Old Trafford than he would at Ellen Road.
Yeah. Spurs 2, West Brom 0. Harry Kane and Son with the goals. I think he said somewhere that it's Harry Kane's 208th Premier League goal already in his career.
I saw 208. I didn't know if that was in the Premier League or if that was for Spurs.
It's 208 in like 312 or 320 games.
Yeah, as this is the game that I didn't get to see because, basically I run the Leeds podcast and I run the Leeds United website, and the under-23s were playing at the same time, so I had to cover that. It's 208 goals for Tottenham, which puts him joint second with Bobby Smith. Jimmy Greaves is 266, so he's probably going to beat that.
Yeah. We then went to a boring 0-0 draw of Wolves versus Leicester. And the game that's just taken place before we went live, which was Liverpool 1, Man City 4. Alisson.
No, you've got to do it like a sub-editor would. Alisson Blunderland.
Yeah. This is the worst game that I think Alisson's played for Liverpool.
Oh, definitely. Now, before we say this, look, Alisson is a world-class goalkeeper. There's no doubt about it. He is one of the very best. But sometimes players have an off day. And if they're having an off day, if someone's just screwed up playing the ball out from the back and messed up a clearance and cost a goal, I know that there's a certain you jump back on your bike when you fall off mentality. But they immediately played like 3 back passes straight to him. And then he did it again. Man City took the chance as well. Man City were the better side in this game, without a doubt. They should have really been up earlier. First half wasn't great, but it was a Stonewall penalty for the foul on Sterling. Gundogan's penalty was dreadful. Great player, dreadful penalty.
Yeah.
They get the equaliser again from the, make it 1-0. Equaliser at the other end is also a penalty. As much as Salah, it's a blatant dive. But Ruben Diaz grabbing him like that is such stupid defending. If a Leeds player did that, I'd be absolutely furious because he's giving him an excuse to chuck himself over. Like getting grabbed there slightly does not make you buckle at the knees and your arms go up in the air.
Yeah.
It is a dive, but it's also a really stupid bit of defending, so I didn't have much sympathy with him.
Yeah.
And then Phil Foden decided to completely run the show.
Yeah, it was nice to see him, start a game and actually show his class because I'm getting sick of hearing Pep say that he's the best youngster I've ever seen and then not play him.
Yeah, well, he's played him today, and it isn't just that. Even before he set up I think it was even before he set up the couple of goals. There was one major difference. I'm trying to see what minute he actually went off. It was 72. So yeah, it was when it was 1-1. It said a lot that he took off Mahrez rather than Foden.
Yeah,
which that wasn't happening last season. And as much as I think he should have played Foden more than he has, but he does seem to be really kicking on and improving. So maybe he's got it just right. I mean, as much as Alisson has obviously screwed up. There's no way around that. The goals are his error leading to goal. There's no way around that.
Yeah.
But Foden's involvement in all of them was absolutely outstanding. He put them on an absolute plate for Gundogan and Sterling. For Gundogan, he played in Bernardo Silva for his one. There's Foden's finish for the fourth is absolutely... Foden's finishing for the fourth, although I do think Alisson should probably save that as well. But he's hit it like an absolute rocket.
Yeah.
It's the sort of goal that Jordan Pickford gets a bollocking for because he sort of his hands, although he didn't have long to react, his hands went low and then back up. So It was a bit quote unquote T-Rex arms.
Al saying he should have gone abroad when he had the chance. I'm guessing that's for Harry Kane.
Kane, I don't know. We've mentioned a few players.
Yeah. So we'll go straight into it now. The one player team challenge. Now, so how we're going to run through this is because you have to have a goalkeeper on the bench, we are going to mention both goalkeepers first. Then we'll run through the back line and then mention the defenders that are on the bench, run through the midfielders on the bench, then run through the strikers and the strikers or wingers on the bench. You said that you've got a midfielder, 2 wingers and a striker on the bench, right?
Roughly, because a few of them can play more than one position. Keeper, defender, couple of midfielders, couple of wingers, striker.
Al came back and said, yeah. So we'll start off. We've got Casey's team as well because Casey built this expecting to be on the show and then had to work. So,
well, we'll talk about his after we've finished ours because he might be here in time.
Yeah.
And if he is, we'll let him go through it at the end.
So, goalkeepers. The 2 goalkeepers that I've picked to start with. My starting goalkeeper comes from Burnley, and it's Nick Pope.
Oh, well, great. We've got the starting one is exactly the same.
And my bench goalkeeper is Fulham's Alfonso Areola.
Alfonso Areola. My sub-keeper is Rui Patricio from Wolves. I think that Nick Pope was... I would think a lot of people would end up with Nick Pope from this when you're only allowed one from each team. Because it does mean there's some teams where I think whether they're on the bench or starting, everyone would end up with similar because they have a standout name. And like for me at Burnley, they've got plenty of good players, but the only one that I think's a step ahead of that is Nick Pope.
Yeah. Yeah, the only other Burnley player that I actually took into consideration for this was Tarkowski. I think he could have been I wouldn't say starting centre-back, but he definitely could be on the bench for this team.
Yeah, I must admit I didn't even consider anyone else. As much as on paper, my team will play out from the back and Nick Pope isn't the greatest at that, he would be fine for this.
Do you want to go into your fullbacks then? We'll do right and left back at the same time.
Okay. My right back for a long time was Aaron Wan-Bissaka, but I changed it so that I could have a different Man United player in. As much as I did want to not use a Man United player just because I'm a Leeds fan, but that wouldn't have been fair to the objective of this. So at right back, I have Luke Ayling of my beloved Leeds United. And at left back, I have Luca Dean from Everton.
Good shouts then, both of them. I've gone with neither.
Good. More interesting that way.
Left back, I've gone Ben Chilwell.
Fair shout. Who I, in my head, still played for Leicester for a second then. No.
And to be fair, you just said right back, I was going to pick Justin from Leicester. But I think this right back could do really well with an experienced centre-back next to him. And I've gone with Lamptey from Brighton.
That is an interesting shout. He never even entered my head, actually, but that's not a bad shout.
If you're going to have someone from Brighton, for me, I think he's got bags of potential. And the 2 centre-halves that I've got playing, I think he'd do well playing next to either of them.
Yeah, no, I like Lamptey. I can't have a go at you for that pick at all. I ended up picking Luke Ayling. Well, I mean, I'll be honest that when Wan-Bissaka was in, I had Calvin Phillips in middle of midfield.
Yeah.
But it was just the way it worked out. I thought of a player, and that meant I had to move things around. But Luke Ayling is... if it was any other England position, I'd say he's playing well enough that he could be in the England squad. But the thing is that the one thing England have got is about 9 right-backs.
Yeah.
And because Luke Ayling's like nearly 30 now, it's not going to happen. And which is fair enough. The other reason for having Ayling in is I did think about it as a squad balance. And Luke Ayling means I only need 1 centre-back on the bench because Luke Ayling can be the fourth centre-back.
Yeah.
And Luca Dean is just because he's really good.
Yeah, as weird as it sounds, I didn't even think about Luca Dean. But maybe that's because he's been injured. He's only recently come back to the Everton starting line. But I think Ben Chilwell he's England's best left back. And I think he's probably top 3 left backs in the league.
Yeah. I find it so weird that we keep picking like Trippier I say we. Southgate keeps picking like Trippier at left back.
Yeah, but every time it comes to international games, Ben Chilwell's injured.
Yeah, he has been injured a lot.
He's doing basically what Rashford does. He gets picked and then goes, hamstring,
Yeah,
don't pick.
Players aren't as good at that as they used to be. I mean, Ferguson's team was the absolute epitome of it. Get picked for, it's a friendly, is it? Yeah, you're not playing that. You're injured.
Yeah, everyone but Rooney.
Yeah.
So I'll go with my first 2 centre backs. You've already named.
That is a good shout. I've just seen in the comments Brad Carrot. What about Luke Shaw? Because you just said Chilwell's the best English left back. I would still say Chilwell, but Luke Shaw has very much come back to his best and played really well. I don't think he was ever going to get in this because of the other options for Man United.
Yeah.
But Luke Shaw is a fair shout, and
probably should be playing for England.
Yeah, that is a fair shout. As much as I would still go for Chilwell, but Luke Shaw is a good shout.
Yeah. So my two centre-backs, I'll name the one from Wolves first because you've already got Patricio on your bench, so you're not going to have another Wolves player. I've got Connor Cody. I just really rate Connor. It was between him and Wilfred Bolly as well, because I think both of them are decent centre-backs. Yeah. And my other one, I think it's standard. It's Virgil van Dijk.
You see, I don't have Van Dijk. I did when I first wrote it down, but because I needed Liverpool in another place, I ended up not having him. But I do think Virgil van Dijk's the best defender in the world when he's fit.
Go on, then.
But yeah, Cody and Van Dijk, it'd be a good partnership. Again, like mine can in theory, can definitely play your way out with that.
Yeah.
I have got, you picked Lamptey going, there's a few good options, but he's the one who's good and can get way better.
Yeah.
My right centre-back is that. I've got Wesley Fofana from Leicester.
Decent shout.
He's still only 19 and looks awesome, and he's only going to get better. There was a couple of players that were options from Leicester, but I thought he was best one. And my other centre-back, there's probably some Leeds bias in this, but again, he's going to get better and better. And if they actually play him at centre-back, he'll go to the Euros. Brighton's Ben White. It hurts to even say Brighton's Ben White. It's Leeds' Ben White. He's still ours to me, damn it.
Lovely, lovely Ben.
Lovely Ben.
Yeah, to be fair, I think Ben White he's another one of those. He's a future England centre-back.
I honestly, if they put him in the squad now, I think he'd be perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I think he'd be as good as some of the others that have been playing for certain.
We'll go to our... Have you got two defensive subs on your bench?
I've only got one that's an out-and-out defender, one centre-back.
Right, okay. I'll let you name your one defender and I'll name my two that are on the bench.
The way I ended up with my bench was I just went, right, what clubs are left and who do I want from there, and just tried to make it work roughly as a squad. So from Fulham, I have Tosin Adarabioyo, who anyone who's listened to the Mighty Whites podcast will know I've been banging on about since he looked amazing against us in the Youth Cup about 5 years ago. And now he's in the Premier League and looks like their best player, especially defensively. Him and Anguissa look like their best two players, and yeah. I think he's really good, and he's another one who's going to get way better.
I think that's a fair shout, to be honest. He's the same way that I picked Lamptey. I think that's a decent shout to have him on the bench, and if he came on with 20 minutes left, if you were 4-1 up, and just let him have a run out and see what he's like.
Oh, I'd trust him to start. There is an argument in terms of experience playing. There's an argument that he could start ahead of Ben White. I would pick Ben White, but there's an argument that Adarabioyo would start.
Yeah. My two defensive subs. First one from Arsenal, I've got Kieran Tierney. I've picked Ben Chilwell at left back. I need someone to cover when he's injured.
Yeah, fair.
And then
luckily, you see, Kieran Tierney never gets injured.
No, I picked the two most injury-prone left backs. In fact, throw that with Luke Shaw, and we've got three of the worst left backs for getting injured. And then my other defender is West Brom's Ajayi.
Semi Ajayi.
I think he's a quality centre-back.
Yeah, he is a good player. Another one, when they signed him from Rotherham, it was only £2 million. And it came out, West Brom have £2 million bid accepted for Semi Ajayi. And all that happened was every single championship club last season went, at $2 million, why aren't we buying him?
Yeah.
Because everyone knew, well, he's way better than that.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like Fulham's left back, is it that Robertson or Robinson?
Anthony Robinson, who I wanted Leeds to sign because we could do with an out-and-out left back. Apparently, his fee was low though because Wigan were completely buggered. You know, they're knackered.
Yeah, but AC offered him 10 mil in the was it the summer or the winter? They offered him 10 mil.
That was the January window.
Yeah, and then they had to sell him for 2 to Fulham.
Yeah,
which
apparently is on quite. The reason that Fulham ended up with him is apparently he's being paid really big wages for what you would expect. But if you save 7-8 million on the fee, you can afford to do that.
Yeah. So before we get into his midfield, I'm just going to play a quick social media ad to show where you can find the Buzz and where you can follow them online.
Get the Lambo car, house in the hills with the stars. Told you I'd raise the bar, told you that I'd go far. Baby, it's crystal clear. I'm not a souvenir. I'm not an accessory. I'm a necessity. So come and check me out now. I'm a necessity. So come and check me out now.
Yeah, that's the Buzz. So make sure that you go follow the Buzz on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at WTB.com. It is scrolling across the bottom there. And you can go follow us on YouTube at the Buzz, where this video will be going up after we've finished doing the live stream. So into his midfield, and I forgot to ask you before we.
I'm just going to interrupt to say Sheffield United. Oh, he has given it now. I'm going to say Sheffield United have just had the most blatant penalty turned down against Chelsea, but but he has now given the penalty.
Come on, David McGoldrick.
There might be an offside in build-up actually. So well.
Stay
back
tuned.
Back to the midfield.
I forgot to ask you before we started this. What formation you're playing?
4-3-3.
Right. Okay.
I could get technical and say I'm a Bielcista. So, this would actually drop into like a 4-1-4-1 with advanced eights and a holding midfielder. But for the sake of making it easy, it's a 4-3-3.
See, I've not made it easy, and I've gone with a 4-2-2.
Ooh.
So 4-3-3. We'll do. How are we going to do this? We'll do my 4 midfielders and your 3 mids.
Yeah, go.
Work out best that way. So I finished with my defender, so I'll start with my 2 CDMs.
Cool.
First off, got a red card yesterday, but I think he's still probably one of the best midfielders this season. I've got Thomas Souček.
So Brad Carrot just said, so we're 4-4-2. Yep.
No, we're playing defensive midfielders and attacking midfielders. No wingers.
Yeah, it's a 4-4-2.
And then I've got the Yorkshire Pirlo himself, Calvin Phillips.
Good man. Good man. That's what you need. That's how you get in my good books.
There was a part of me that were thinking, do I pick Declan Rice and Phillips and just go for the standard? This is what England's 2 defensive midfielders are going to be for like 5-6 years.
Yeah. But I don't like 2 midfielders that are that defensive. Like together. That's why I get annoyed I get annoyed when Southgate picks them both because he tends to do that in front of 3 centre backs, which is ridiculous. But no, they are. I mean, obviously, I'm a Leeds fan. You don't need me to bang on about Calvin Phillips any more than I already do. But Thomas Souček has been one of my favourite players all season.
Yeah.
And he's won me a few quid as well because I've backed him to score quite a lot.
Yeah, he seems to be able to do that quite well. And I think if you're going to have an aerial threat from corners, he's one of the biggest threats at the moment.
Yeah.
So we'll run through your 3 mids and then I'll pick my 2 cams as well.
Yeah. Because it's played in sort of a Bielsa where there's 1 that sits and 2 that go. Sitting, which originally was Calvin Phillips before I changed, and then I realised I can't really pick this and not have N'Golo Kante.
Yeah.
Now Kante is more than a sitting midfielder. He's more technical than that. But when he plays as a sitting midfielder, he's excellent at it. And his range of passing is great, and he's got good energy to get around and cover, and you need a lot of energy in that role. So yeah, I've got Kante as the sitting midfielder, and then the two sort of number 8s, playing centre mid but pushing on, Kevin De Bruyne and Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah, this is why I said I was going to name my cams afterwards, because my two cams are Bruno Fernandes and Kevin De Bruyne.
I thought that might happen, to be fair. There was as soon as you said that you were playing a 4-2-2, I thought, right, well, he's got these two then.
Yeah, I couldn't help myself. I mean, there's an argument at this moment in time to say De Bruyne or Fernandes. Based off form, is Fernandes better than De Bruyne? It's an argument that could go on for days.
Well, yeah, but only because De Bruyne is currently out injured. De Bruyne, as I've said before, at the minute, I think he is up there for one of the best players in the world. I mean, if it's just form for the last couple of months, you'd have to say Gundogan, who has been absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, to be fair, I mean, if we were doing this based on form, I do think I'd pick Gundogan over De Bruyne.
Yeah, no, he's a. I think that those two sort of just have to end up in there. Like Bruno Fernandes annoys me like hell, the way he acts and the way he chucks himself about, but he is a brilliant footballer. No, it's like Jack Grealish. He annoys me with the way he is, but I don't pretend that he's anything other than a great footballer.
So how many midfielders you got on bench?
On the bench, I'd say 2 because the other ones are wingers.
Right, okay, I've got 2 on the bench as well. The 2 that I've got on the bench, I've got Saint-Maximin from Newcastle, and I've got Jack Grealish from Aston Villa.
Well, I also have Jack Grealish because obviously he can play central or wide, but in this sort of system, he'd be a number 8, definitely. And my other one is from West Ham United, Thomas Souček. There's always going to be a bit of crossover.
Yeah, that's the thing with these, especially with this where you're narrowing down a league so much. I was shocked when when KC sent us his team before we started, and you went, "Oh, there's only a little bit of crossover," and I looked at his team and went, "I've got none."
Yeah,
and then I looked back and realised I had one, which we'll talk about if he comes on or if we run through it afterwards. But yeah, I couldn't leave Souček out of my starting 11 just purely based on form as well.
I really rate Souček, but as much as I rate Souček, if the other 3 Bruno Fernandes, Kevin De Bruyne, and N'Golo Kante, there's no world in which I can put Souček in.
Carrot saying Gallagher from West Brom would be on the bench.
Really good player. If Chelsea aren't going to play him, I'd quite like Leeds to sign him.
I watched him play against Spurs today, and just because I kept seeing out corner of my eye, I kept going, when did West Brom sign Tom Cantwell?
Yeah, there is some similarities looks-wise, isn't there, between him and Cantwell. But no, I really rate Sam Gallagher. He was really good last season as well, because he was Charlton first half of the season, and then he went to Swansea for the second half, and he looked great in both those sides as well. Yeah.
So, the attack, your front 3, my 2 strikers, your front 3 to start with.
Well, because these fullbacks will bomb on, my wingers I want to be inverted inside forwards because for space it'll create space. So on the left, you've mentioned him as being on your bench. On the left, I've got Alan Saint-Maximin from Newcastle. And on the right, the reason that I don't have Virgil van Dijk, Mo Salah.
Right, okay. That's a fair shout, to be honest. I think Liverpool's team is so strong. You could pick 3 or 4 off them. There's like 5 players that you would pick. Maybe not based off the last game that the people have just watched, but in all honesty, I had to pick Van Dijk because I just think he is the best defender in the Premier League. I know he's crocked at the moment, and people have probably will put Liverpool's poor season down to that injury.
Right, it is a big part of it. But they might have got away with it if Joe Gomez and Joel Matip weren't also injured.
Yeah. I don't did Kabak play for him today?
No, not the centre backs today were Fabinho and Henderson.
Right, that explains a lot because I really rate that Kabak as well, and I think he's a decent signing.
From what I hear, is very good. I haven't seen enough to really comment. I've actually seen a little bit more of Ben Davies at Preston, and for a couple of million, that's a pretty good signing.
Yeah,
Once they get everyone back, he won't play, but when they sell him on, they'll make a profit on him.
yeah. When he goes back to the Championship.
No, I think he'll go to a lower Premier League club. He was really stand out in the Championship.
Fair enough. I can't comment because I haven't seen that much of him.
Yeah.
So my two strikers, questionable whether you play him as a striker. I think his best position is out on the left, but I think he's good enough to play as well. He's a quality striker and a quality finisher. I've got Heung-min Son.
Fair.
And then playing alongside him, the reason why I didn't go with Justin at right back, Jamie Vardy.
Son and Vardy. That is, I mean, that's very, very good if you counter attack. Like, that's a scary prospect.
Your striker?
My striker, as much as I would have loved to have picked Bamford for this system because, we've seen what he can do in it. And Brad Garrett has also said it. I would have loved to have picked Bamford, but you need good runs in behind, the ability to drop off the front and play a pass, hold up play, and the commitment to be able to press. And Bamford is great at all those things, but there's an argument that just a slightly better player is Harry Kane.
That was my. Do I go with Kane or do I go with Son? And although Kane is there is no argument, Kane is the better finisher. There is no way that anyone could say that they think Son is the better finisher out of the two of them. The goal record speaks for itself, but I think Son is the better overall player. And if you're going to play with Jamie Vardy up top, you want someone who's going to provide for a clinical finisher.
You see, I must admit, if I was playing him up front with Vardy, I'd have Kane still. Because I think Kane is better at dropping into a 10, whereas Son is better at dropping wide. But they'd both be very good at it. But Kane's passing this season has been... It was always good, and it seems to have stepped on another level. But it's a fair shot. I had to pick Kane. I think at the minute he's just the best striker in the Premier League.
And see, if I put my Man United head on here, we can drop into that 4-2-3-1 and play Son out on the left, Bruno out on the right, and Kevin De Bruyne through the middle, and still have Vardy up top.
No, you see, I think you have to think about things like that because you do want it to be a squad.
Yeah. So you've got 3 subs left, am I right?
Yeah, because the last 2 I said were my midfielders, weren't they? Which were Souček and Grealish.
Yeah. So your final 3 subs.
I have 2 wingers and a striker. Now, one of these wingers might. Basically, I'd have to see what they look like in training to see which one starts. Because my backup left winger, who can also play up front, is Wilfried Zaha from Palace, who I think most people will end up with because he's the standout Palace player. My backup for the right wing, but also right back and left back in an emergency, is Bukayo Saka from Arsenal.
Good shout.
Yeah, and my backup out-and-out striker from Southampton, Danny Ings.
You know what? That is sad. Danny Ings didn't even cross my mind.
Yeah. It's like, the other one, don't get me wrong, I'd have loved to have picked Rafinha because he's been outstanding, but you can only have one. Yeah. And I've also just seen he's also common Eze. I would still say Zaha is the standout player at Palace, but he's second.
You picked one of my subs. I have Wilfried Zaha on the bench as an attacking option because I think he can play through the middle or play out wide.
This season, he's probably played through the middle more because we've played 4-4-2 quite a lot. Yeah.
And my other one is Richarlison.
Oh, yeah, you haven't used Everton yet, had you?
No, I think it speaks like how good the attacking options are for the Premier League that someone like Richarlison only just makes the bench. When you're doing a team like this, but where you can only pick one player per team, there is a toss-up. There's probably an argument to say Calvert-Lewin at the moment is the better striker, but I think Richarlison's the better overall player.
Yeah, I think that I would have gone for Calvert-Lewin for 2. Just because I think, although I suppose you don't really have any options for dropping into. You've got players who can drop into play wide, but you haven't got that many if you had to switch to a wide formation. So for that, it does give the squad a better balance, I suppose.
Yeah, if I were going to drop it to play wide, Richarlison, Zaha, Grealish, Maximan are all on the bench. You got Son that can play out wide. But I've just realised 3 of the 4 on my bench are left wingers, and then you've got Richarlison who can play right.
Yeah, if there's one thing that I've learned from, it's not just Bielsa. You see it all over. Even back when I was playing junior football, everything. If you're playing on the wing, you can play on both sides. There's one side you'll be better at, but every winger can play on both sides. That's not necessarily true for wide midfielders, like in a 4-4-2, actual wide midfielders. But for wingers, you can always play both sides.
Yeah. I think it's interesting, actually, to see people's teams. And if you are listening to this after we've gone live, make sure that you go into the comments and drop what your team would be. So the way to do it is you only can have one player per team in the Premier League. You must have 2 goalkeepers, one that starts and one that's on your bench, full 11 and a 7-man subs. The way that we've done it, 2 teams miss out, and in my case, Southampton and Sheffield United have missed out with getting any players into my side. Sheffield United purely because I just don't think their squad's that good, and it's been highlighted this season. They did really well last year, surprisingly, but the things haven't fallen for them this season. I just don't think. I think the only player that I could have seen getting into my side is that Egan, because I think he's a decent centre half.
Yeah. My 2 that missed out were West Brom and Sheffield United. Now, because there is actually 9 subs now, if I was picking one from each, it probably would have been Conor Gallagher from West Brom, who I didn't really want to pick because he's on loan from Chelsea. And you've got Van Dijk, even though he's injured.
Yeah.
Well, my Sheffield United one, even though he's been out all season with a knee injury, would have been Jack O'Connell, who I think is a really good defender. If I was picking 9, I'd probably have Jack O'Connell. And then from West Brom, I'd have Sam Johnston for the backup keeper. And then instead of Rui Patricio, I'd pick like Ruben Neves to be on the bench if I was going to do 9. But for 7, I'm happy with what I've got.
Yeah, thinking about it, if I had to pick 2, so if I had to pick from Sheffield United and Southampton, that's actually quite a difficult thing to do now. I think Vestergaard's been decent this season. Looking at Southampton, I think defensively they've got such a solid core, and they still conceded 12 in the last 2 games.
It was a bit of a weird one, that was. I know it's happened twice, but I still think twice you can say it's it's definitely an outlier. It doesn't. Neither of them games falls within a bell curve.
Yeah,
it was just a bit weird. Although they have been very out of form, like their record recently. I think that now after that Newcastle game, like last 6, I think they're the worst team in the league now, in the form table.
I'll have a quick look and see. This is going to start trying to play a fucking video. But yeah, I think for Sheffield United, it would be between Egan and Sander Berg. I think Berg's a really decent CDM.
I think last season, I think I would have been agreeing with you. I don't think he's been as good this season. I mean, probably just because the team hasn't been as good. I've just checked. Yeah, Southampton are bottom of the form table.
Yeah, my pick to win the league.
Yeah. Below your pick to win the league, below Leeds in the table.
Yeah, fuck off.
By the way, I've heard from KC he isn't going to make it.
All right, well, we'll run through his team anyway for these last 15. I'm still trying to think of the Southampton play. I think I would go Danny Ings just to have another out-and-out striker on the bench.
With the formation you're playing, in yours, I think I'd go for Ward-Prowse.
He'd be a decent shout.
Because you're starting with 4 central players, so you could do with extra options there.
Yeah. Who's is it? Does Bertrand play? Is it? No, he's left back and he's not right back.
Yeah.
Who's their right back?
Kyle Walker-Peters.
Oh yeah, no, I don't rate him. So we'll run through KC's team.
KC has just commented, by the way.
Southampton would have won it if you hadn't have backed them. Yeah, to be fair. It's probably my fault that they're doing so terribly. So, right, let's rip apart KC's team because, we base this between how good we think the players are and a bit of form. So, you want a rock-solid goalkeeper. So, KC's picked Alisson and Ramsdale as his backup keeper.
Yeah, Alisson is a completely fair shout. I know he was awful today, but he's a world-class goalkeeper. Alan Ramsdale has been dreadful all season. I think the XG to actual goals conceded, I think he has the biggest underperformance of any goalkeeper in the league.
Yeah, and it's a shame because, to be honest, even though Bournemouth got relegated last season, I think he looked decent for Bournemouth.
Yeah, that's one of those. It's a really bad deal. You let him go. Sheffield United let Ramsdale go to Bournemouth for sod all money, bought him back for a lot of money, and then he's been rubbish.
Yeah,
it's like Pogba before his form picked up.
Yeah, before he would, either sell me or give me a new contract.
Yeah.
His right back, he's gone with Wan-Bissaka.
Fair.
Left back, he's agreed with me and gone with Ben Chilwell.
Yeah, that's also fair.
Speaking of form, his 2 centre-backs. First one, Tyrone Mings. I think that's a decent shout.
Yeah, Mings is a good player. I don't think he's playing quite as well as... Oh, you know what? I bet he is playing as well as he was before. It's just that everyone else is now also playing well, so it doesn't stand out as much.
Yeah.
Because now Villa are... last season, he was a really good player in a crap side. And this year, he's a good player in a good side.
Yeah, but I still think he raises that defence. Like, Target looked really good against Arsenal. I think he's quite underrated for what he does. But that is it Konsa that plays?
Yeah, Ezri Konsa, who he looked. I think it was Charlton where he came through and he looked really good, and then he went to Brentford and looked really good. It's just every level he steps to. It took him a few months to get going at Villa, but he's a good player.
I always get him mixed up with the striker that they used to have, that Ivory Coast striker that also started with K.
What, at Villa?
Yeah.
Ivory Coast striker at Villa?
It was the season before they came up. No,
I can't place who it is.
Yeah, but his name started with a K as well, and I always kept thinking, God, he's gone from striker to centre back. That's weird. Yeah. But yeah, KC picking the completely informed Bednarak as his second centre back.
I know him. Yeah, Jonathan Kodja.
Yeah.
It's because in my head, he was at Bristol City before that, and that's where I think of him as.
I don't know where he went. I don't know if he's still at Villa.
I don't believe he is. If he is, then he must just be training with the under-18s because you never hear anything about him. He plays for Al Gharafa in Qatar.
Right, that's why you don't hear anything of him.
Yeah.
For his 2 defensive options on the bench, he's picked same as you, Tosin It's not going to come out.
Tosin Adarabayo.
Yeah.
Don't
And,
get, hey, you can get away with just you can get away with just Tosin now because he's switched to Tosin on his shirt.
Right.
By the way,
Tosin and Ben White.
thanks for the shout out, Archie. I did manage to get it before that, but yes, that is who we were trying to think of.
Yeah, oh God. The Canadian remembering the Aston Villa Ivory Coast striker that now plays in Qatar.
Yeah.
Footballing knowledge, eh?
Yeah.
The two centre mids that he's got Declan Rice and Tielemans from Leicester.
I did think heavily. I never thought about Declan Rice because if I was going to pick a CD like that, I was always just going to pick Phillips if that's what I was after. But I really did think about Tielemans.
I've looked at his bench. He has no midfielders on the bench.
Yeah, but he's like me. He's a Leeds fan. He's been following Bielsa. All of those strikers will be able to play in midfield. You just don't know it yet. Like, Leeds today in the under-23s, we signed two very bright, highly rated young strikers in Joe Gelhardt and Sam Greenwood. And Sam Greenwood is now just playing as an out-and-out centre mid. Just straight away. We signed Spain's striker and he plays centre mid.
He does all right at it.
Yeah, that's what he'll have thought.
Yeah. So he's playing a right wing, a left wing, an attacking mid, and then a striker. So at right wing, he's got Rafinha, which decent shout. I think
Current form is up there with. He's not right up at the top, but he's like the one level below it. Current form is brilliant.
You can see his quality when he steps out onto a pitch. He always looks like he's the the out and out attacking threat for you. Did you not see Ben White's midfield masterclass against us a couple of weeks back?
Yeah, he has been playing. See, there's an option.
True. Left wing, he's got Saka from Arsenal.
Yeah, well, I say he's on my bench. He's a great player and he covers loads of positions. He could play centre mid if he needed him to.
And at Cam, he's got Kevin De Bruyne, which I think everybody probably does. Unless you're picking Ederson in goal.
Yeah, no, it says a lot about how good De Bruyne is. Man City have got so many options for people you could pick. And you just end up going, yeah, but De Bruyne.
And then at striker, he's got Harry Kane.
Yeah, fair.
And then on his bench, he's got Wilfried Zaha, which, yes. Saint Maximin, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and then Dominic Podence from Wolves.
Daniel Podence?
Daniel Podence, not Dominic Podence. Yeah. I always think he should be called Dominic. I don't know why.
Yeah, Daniel Podence is an interesting one. Can play both sides, which has it. Well, yeah, De Bruyne's out injured. But Foden over KDB, I'm coming from. Although today Foden was that good, but you could say, yeah.
Yeah, but Gundogan over both.
Again, over the last 2 months. Yeah, it's obviously there's always going to be crossover. It's Newcastle. It's very hard to pick anyone other than St. Maximin.
Yeah.
I genuinely, unless you were just like, you can't even pick. Sort of a year and a half ago, there was an argument for picking Dubravka as your second choice keeper because he was really good, but he can't even get in the side now over Caldalo, and Caldalo's he's decent, but he's not great.
I've been quite impressed with his form recently.
Yeah.
But I mean, unless you're picking like absolute boy level players, like I don't know, you're picking John Joe Shelby.
Yeah, I don't really see how you can end up with anyone else, and there's a couple of teams like that. As I said, with Palace, I think you've almost got to end up with Zaha, but there is an argument for Eze.
Yeah.
There's also, I wouldn't, but you could probably argue for Guaita as a second choice keeper because he is good.
Someone out there will say Ayew.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out which teams missed out for him. So West Brom missed out, and West Ham missed out as well. Oh no, because
No, he's got Declan Rice.
So who else missed
I
out?
don't remember. Oh, he picked Ramsdale, didn't he, from Sheffield United?
Yeah, so it's West Brom and
I'm trying to remember all of his team.
so he's got Wolves, Everton, Newcastle, Sheffield United, Brighton, Fulham, Palace, Spurs, City, Arsenal, Leeds, Leicester, West Ham, Villa, Southampton, Chelsea, Man United, and Liverpool. So it's
Yeah.
West Ham and someone.
He's got Has he got a Burnley player? I don't think he does he?
Burnley is the other one that's missing.
Yeah.
Which, yes, I can see.
Yeah, if you're not going to pick... Now, admittedly, I like how he's ended up picking Aaron Ramsdale over Nick Pope. I can't figure out. But, yeah, that's one where I just think he's out and out wrong there.
To be fair, there's an argument for him. Why did he not say Peacock Farrell over Aaron Ramsdale?
No. Aaron Ramsdale is underperforming. He's a lot better than Peacock Farrell. Peacock Farrell is it's how we've managed to get it's like £3 million going up to 5. Now he won't hit his bonuses, but how Burnley have managed to look at his performances for Leeds and think, yeah, we'll sign him.
Sign him as backup.
I think that it is literally just we need a third choice keeper who is English because of squad rules. And I know he's Northern Ireland's keeper, but one, it's British anyway, and two, he's English. He's from Darlington.
Yeah. Still an international keeper, though.
Yeah. And dropped a complete bollock in their playoff game.
So I'm going to play another commercial. This time he's going to tell you all the live stream podcasts that go live here on The Buzz, whether that be on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Just make sure that you check them all out, and it will tell you what time and what day that you can check them out on.
War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Till we see the confetti fall, be ready for war. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Till we see the confetti fall, be ready for war. Tell them I'm ready, any opponent. The crown heavy and every minute is chosen. A path only fit for kings, and you don't know what this court means. What did you enlist for? If it isn't getting more rings, then you gon' have to switch your team. Trust me, it gets more mean. I'm a nightmare going up against your dreams. First step is explosive like a bomb hit. Bet if I let it fly, I cannot miss. And you ain't got a chance at the top 10 when you getting clamped all night by a locksmith. On the block throwing lobs to my top bigs. I'm a chef, no look, what's the top dish? Tie game, through the pressure as the clock ticks. Crossover, step back, hit a shot, switch. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Till we see the confetti fall, be ready for war. This is how champions are made, but it never happens in a day. It's all hard work, but it's why what happens when we play 9 out of 10 times. I'ma lap you.
Yeah, make sure you go over to Facebook, Twitter, YouTube and Instagram for WTB.com or The Buzz on YouTube and check out all the amazing live shows that we've got going on. Some fantastic content covering a variety of different topics, whether that be wrestling, American football, hockey, basketball, you name it. The Buzz has got it. You've got to check out all the amazing stuff that we've got going on there.
Probably a good day to try one of the NFL ones if you've got an hour to kill, because it's Super Bowl tonight.
Yeah, a couple of hours ago, Game Winning Drive went live and did a Super Bowl special with a couple of guys from the Sports Box. So make sure that you go check out that live video. It'll be below this one. And if not, if you're on the YouTube, just go onto the channel. It'll be there. Check it out. They run through the predictions and how they think that the Super Bowl will end up this evening.
Yeah. I'm going to say Kansas City Chiefs by 10, I reckon.
There's part of me that thinks, I know we're going off topic here. Well, football
Oh, I'm just saying that as a prediction. I freely admit I know fucking sod all about the NFL. I've had one decent sized bet on it, and it's the opening kickoff not to be a touchback because it's not been a touchback 17 times out of the last 19, and it was 9-4.
That's
Bit of that I only know that because Pat McAfee told me.
yeah. There's part of me that wants to say that Chiefs win it, but it's Brady. Brady wins finals.
Yeah,
Whether
yeah, but he's lost Super Bowls too.
Yeah, but it's Brady.
Yeah.
But that'll do us for this episode of Stand Your Ground. It's been a bit of a weird one. Let us know in the comments if you liked it, if you liked the kind of team building ones. It's weird because you get to see everyone's different perspective on things. There's only so many of these that you can do before you start rehashing the same kind of things. So if you want to see more of this stuff, do let us know. Because it's enjoyable to actually build these teams as well, because some thought's got to go into it.
Could always just nick QI's gimmick and just say the A's, the B's, the C.
Yeah, through the alphabet.
Yeah.
But that'll do us for this episode. Thanks to Jack from the Mighty Whites podcast for being on the episode.
No worries, mate.
Make sure that you check out Mighty Whites Pod on Twitter, on SoundCloud, YouTube, Facebook, and you put your episodes onto wherever you get your podcasts from.
Basically, everything that isn't Acast, it's there.
Yeah, so make sure that you go check that out after this. And I've been your host, Alex. I will see you next Sunday. No, I won't see you next Sunday. Next Sunday, we'll be taking a break because it's Valentine's Day, and if I don't, probably get stabbed.
Oh, yeah, it is. Oh, yeah, also, that means it's our lass's birthday in 3 days. I should probably buy some more things.
So we will be back the week after, so with the 21st when we'll be back. So let us know in the comments below if you want to see another team building episode, because we've got a lot of time to put in there. That was the worst way to say that as well.
Well, don't worry about it.
Right, guys, we'll see you next.